Hear the train come, it's rolling around the bend. I can see the sunshine.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for coming out to this illustrious occasion tonight to honor my father, Roger Dowd. I am also Roger Dowd. Many of you know me as Young Roger or Little Roger. That's how you knew me before, but I'll look at both my license and my waistline show how ludicrous either of those epithets are right now. So I am Roger's son, Roger, and it has been quite an experience organizing this event, and I am thrilled to have everybody here. I realize that I may need to go in the witness protection program soon after, so I might be seeking shelter in some different family friends' house, and I just hope I can still outrun the old man before he wants to get his revenge. But I also want to recognize, first of all, thank you so much to Tom Devlin and Seamus and the entire Devlin's wait staff for putting on this phenomenal event. And I also want to recognize my beloved sister, Jennifer, who was definitely complicit in helping to pull this off. I would like to think that I am a noble brother who would stand up and take the hit all by myself, but I am definitely going to deflect some of the blame off on Jennifer. And poor Jennifer has had to endure both Roger Dowds all of her life. She has the fortitude and the resilience to have my father Roger as her father and me as her brother. So thank you so much, Jen, for everything. And I have to recognize my co-conspirators here tonight. They have asked, and I see the nervous looks on their faces out here now, they have asked that I leave them nameless, but I'm sure my father is already thinking and calculating on who he will get revenge on. And I know that Dick Cheney and Donald Trump, they seem to favor waterboarding. But in the Dowd tradition, we have a far more insidious method of loosening tongues. We call it whiskey boarding. And I think that I can't say that I'm not going to crack and reveal some names. So, Dad, I just want to let you know that you are extremely uncomfortable. You're shooting me the look of death right now. And I know that this is not your thing to be the center of attention. But you have to understand that there's so many people whose lives that you have touched, and Jen and I had no choice in our upbringing with you, but all of these other people are here by choice, so obviously you've had a tremendous impact on everybody, and thank you so much. And one of the things that we're going to ask and beg your indulgence and forgiveness is this opportunity, not so much for you to be honored, but for us to express our thanks and gratitude for everything that you've done. So you got to just learn to grin and bear it. And I am going to play the mom card right now because my mother would have wanted to be here. She would have wanted you to be recognized. She would have wanted you to endure this. And she would have wanted you not to take physical action against your own children. But I think most of the people in this venue tonight knew my mother, and my parents were a phenomenally complementary couple. My mother had beauty, class, grace, piety, diplomacy, tact. Not necessarily attributes that come readily to one's mind when thinking about my father. But like I said, they balanced each other out very well. And my father had a lot of other great qualities that I just want to recognize and appreciate. The first of which is that he is a problem solver. If something goes wrong, he can fix it. He can fix pretty much anything, provided that the basic technology for that thing was invented prior to 1972 about. So if you have a motor vehicle powered by an internal combustion engine, he can fix it with duct tape and a wire hanger and spit and whatever else happens to be on hand. So he's truly the MacGyver of Pit Row that way. But if you want him to program your DVR or send a text message or help you navigate your new smartphone, you do much better rounding up an 8-year-old, I think. Another thing I learned from my dad was, don't throw that away. You might use that someday. You might really need that. And that would apply to gravel, bark mulch, guitar strings, newspapers, magazines, anything that happened to fall in. I remember one time my mom looked out her kitchen window and she saw a pickup truck or a dump truck dumping a load of gravel into our side yard, and she goes running out of the house thinking, what are you doing dumping this? And the poor guy, he was looking at her like, Roger told me to dump this here. You never know where he might need that, and I'm gonna dump it. And she's like, no, I never agreed to this. And the poor guy, of course, the gravel stayed there, and eventually it was used. But the collector of things and making sure that nothing went to waste was definitely another attribute I learned from my father. And I think one of the other things that really comes to mind with my dad is his impeccable sense of fashion. Many millennials think that they invented the high-low fashion style. Maybe having a blue blazer and a skinny tie and jeans and suede Puma sneakers or something like that. But my dad, way back in the 60s, started rocking the suit and work boots look, and he really invented the casual Friday, the business casual Friday, which of course was chinos, flannel shirt, and gold cross pens. But there are many other things I learned from my dad. For instance, the importance of hard work. That work is important not just for accumulating wealth or accomplishments, but because it gives us meaning and purpose in life. That you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And that you always need to rely on the power of family and friends. And that is very evident tonight. And one of the other Trump parallels I'm going to draw tonight is that both the Donald and my dad are real big believers in building walls. However, my dad just builds the walls because he likes to build them, and he, I think, likes to get in that manual labor, but he does not want to keep anyone out, which is why we have a wall in our backyard that's about 6 feet wide and then has a little L in it, and it's about 3 feet high, and it serves absolutely no purpose in terms of dividing or anything. It was just really a way for him to use the extra materials that he had accumulated over the years. But my dad is a believer in bridging, in making connections and strong relationships, and I think that's completely evident tonight. So, Dad, thanks for everything. And as a way to illustrate some of the great connections that he has made and relationships he's made throughout the years, I would like to introduce Congressman Stephan Lynch, who is going to...
Thank you, Roger. Jen, thank you very much for your hard work in putting this together. Roger, I know I speak for all the elected officials that are here right now, who you rescued at some point during their careers and prevented a lot of us from ever having to really do real work and instead become elected officials. But Roger is a Renaissance man. Those of you know him. Plays musical instruments and drives race cars. That was the one rule in our campaign, is that Roger never drove the candidate, because he always trying to show off his driving skills. And I know there are a lot of people around here who love you very, very much, and who could honestly say, like I do, I would not be a United States Congressman but for Roger Dowd. And I'm thankful for that. This is a congressional record, but because Roger is my friend, I will not read it all. It's actually a thank you note from President Grover Cleveland, thanking Roger for helping him squeeze out that second election. And you and Eddie Jesser were mentioned in that regard. But we do have a lot of friends here tonight. A lot of people who want to say a few words on behalf of Roger, who we love, and who always stayed in the background. But I have one of my great friends here tonight, someone who, like myself, Roger, you have been a blessing to. And I remember back in 2001, on September 11, 2001, Roger running my campaign, and also Jim McGee, who's out there somewhere, and Eddie Jesser and some others. And also, at that time, State Representative Martin Walsh, but now one of the probably the greatest mayor in the United States of America, Martin Walsh.
Thank you, Congressman, and it's such a pleasure to be here tonight, celebrating Roger. He's not really saying much right now, so I'm not going to be too fearful. This is all John Stefanini's fault, Roger. Just want to make sure you know that. I met Roger Dowd in Stevie's campaign in 2001 when Jim McGee and Matty O'Neill came into the campaign to talk about what they were going to do. And the first day we're there, McGee comes into Stephen's house and he has his whiteboard and he starts writing stuff down on the board, names, and I'm looking at him like, oh my God, where's this guy from? And he started saying what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. And then I saw it come together, and then I met Roger Dowd. And Roger, one of the first meetings we had was at my mother's house, where we sat down at the kitchen table and we went over voting lists. And we started going over where Steve Lynch's votes were. In Ward 13, Precinct 6 is his precinct, Precinct 7 is his precinct, Precinct 8 is his precinct, Precinct 9, we got to watch out for the hills, but not the lowlands, and 10, and then we went to Ward 16, every single precinct at a time. And I started to think to myself, how does this guy know Dorchester like this? Because he sat at the table, he had a flannel shirt on, he had a pen pocket thing in his pocket with pencils, and we had an incredible, we literally went over every single name, and that was the beginning of me getting to know Roger Dowd. A ride and a friendship that will last forever. And over the years, I worked with Roger. I said we didn't really work in campaigns. I worked with Roger on campaigns, many of them over time. And we were working on Frankie Baker's campaign. I know Frank's still here, but Chris Cohen, who had the campaign, had computers set up everywhere, and he was going over computers, and Roger was sitting at the table with a yellow pad of paper and started writing numbers down. So he said to Chris, what do you think of the race? And Chris said, well, you know, the formula for this and getting this vote out of here and that vote out of there, we should be okay. I turned to Roger, what do you think? He said, go back to Ward 13, pull everybody out of 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, we're going to be all set. And I said, Chris, you keep pushing the buttons, let's go, we're going to pull those numbers. That's right. The guy who understands politics, a person who and I love listening to Roger's stories. I know that he was in the boiler room for Mayor Menino, he was in the boiler room for Steve Lynch, he was in the boiler room for Joe Timmelty, he was in the boiler room for Steve Murphy, he was in the boiler room for so many places, and a guy who just doesn't do it for any reason. He just does it because he loves politics. He's not looking for anything. Never, Roger, my whole time I've known him, has never called me and said, can you help me with this, can you help me with that? Just an incredible human being. I know young Roger talked about Lisa, your mom. And when Lisa Scala got married, we were in San Francisco for the wedding, And the day I was flying out, myself and Laurie were flying out, Roger decided to take me and Laurie with him and Lisa to dinner. And he thought it was a good idea to drive in the hills of Sonoma Valley with an empty tank of gas. And as we're going up the hill, the light was on and the thing was bleeping, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm never going to make it home. And Roger got lost because he was looking at a compass on how to get it back around. But I have to tell you, watching those two together showed me that there's true love in the world. Watching them interact that day, and Lisa trying to keep Roger calm and Roger trying to go faster but understanding exactly how much gas was left. I've watched Roger over the years with so many people, and there's so many elected officials here. I'm not doing him justice for what he means to so many people. But as I walked in the yard tonight, and I saw people from the past, guys like John Eade and Eddie Jesser, guys who've been involved in politics for a long time, and Joe Timilty, and you come to the front and you see guys like Mark Siomo and Mike Moran and other elected officials, whether it's Chris Walsh or Pam Richardson, his dear friend, and Stevie Tolman and Kevin Honan and Stevie Lynch. This is a man who understands going across generations. He gets involved in the business of politics because he loves people, and he also loves what we do in politics. And there's not many people like Roger Dowd around anymore, and it's such an honor for me to be here tonight to recognize his birthday. The first thing he said to me when I walked in was, "When do we start campaigning again?" And I said, "As soon as this party's over." But I have a proclamation from the City Hall, and also I have another little gift for Roger. I just want to read the proclamation because it's important. Whereas Roger Dowd was born on June 2nd, 1936 in Boston, Massachusetts, and whereas Roger Dowd attended Weston Public Schools, Harvard University, Boston University, and Suffolk Law, whereas Roger married Elizabeth C. Weirs on July 3rd, 1965, and settled in Framingham, raised two wonderful children, Roger and Jennifer, and two grandchildren. Whereas in 1969, Roger was admitted to the Mass Bar, with his legal career included public service in the Massachusetts State Senate and the United States Attorney's Office for Massachusetts. Decades I could use you there right now, decades representing the Massachusetts Interscholastic Association, as well as representing entrepreneurs. In addition to a successful law practice, Roger has developed numerous projects and owned and operated several businesses throughout the greater Boston area. And whereas Roger's sound judgment, strategic counsel, political expertise, and community knowledge has been valued by federal, state, and local community leaders for more than 6 decades, Roger has been a fixture in the city of Boston, serving as advisor to several mayoral administrations, including mine. Roger has been dedicated to improving and supporting the Allston Brighton community and the entire city of Boston for many years. Therefore, I, Martin J. Walsh, Mayor of the City of Boston, do hereby proclaim May 31st as Roger Dowd Day in the city of Boston. And also, one of the gifts that we give dignitaries that come in, whether heads of state or ambassadors that come into the city of Boston, or very special gifts, we give them what's called the Paul Revere Bowl. And Roger, on behalf of all of the former mayors and all the people in the city of Boston, we want to congratulate you and present you with the Paul Revere Bowl. We want to tell you how much we all love you and thank you for all the counsel, the friendship, and everything that you've done for all of us.
Well, it's been a hell of a couple of days. On Saturday morning, we demolished the race car. So I came home thinking I'd get a little peace and quiet and back to the normal routine. But I've got to tell you, I was first of all absolutely, totally surprised by this. First thing I noticed was Lisa Scala, that's not hard to notice, standing out front in her white dress. And I said, "Who is that gorgeous girl?" And I said, "My God, it's Lisa. What is she doing here?" And it didn't really dawn on me for a few minutes until I turned the corner and I saw this mass of humanity. And I hope you notice, by the way, that the diversity of this group, we have some Republicans here. Not many. But they're welcome. Be nice to them. They're really out of their element. And I'd like to make a correction about Marty's very nice presentation. I did move to Weston, but I lived in Brighton before that, so. And I still get back here every chance I get, and you all know that. Also, I can't quite understand what my son was talking about revenge. That's not me. I just never expected to see this crowd here, and particularly people coming from such distances like Ben Cooper and Lynn April and Bill McDaniel. I like to think I do it for them, but I really appreciate you all being here. I don't want to take up too much time, take away from the partying. I really have a hard time expressing myself to how much this means to me. All I can say is I love you, everyone.
I can see the sunshine inside of a wind, but I'm stuck in prison. Time keeps dragging on. Well, that train keeps on rolling on down to San Antonio. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, never play with guns. But I shot a man who leaned home just to watch him die. I hear that whistle blowing, but I hang my head in pride.
Okay, these are the ministerial duties, as Mr. Stefanini called them, that I need to attend to. Please be sure that if you have not yet done so, you sign the poster of the intricate logo representing different facets of my dad's life, with that the shamrock and the other aspects of his various avocations. Also, even more important, you all are going to want to make sure that you go away with your parting gift, which was a special barreling that was done for Roger B. Dowd. And it has an engraved logo on it that says, "Neither mellowed nor matured, yet aged to perfection. Happy 80th, Roger." So everyone is welcome to that. And I know I'm going to be saving mine. Well, I might have to take a couple, but I'll be saving one of mine for 30 more years when that will absolutely apply to me, I hope. Also, you'll notice, and this I think is probably the most egregious of our sins here tonight, Jennifer. You'll notice many photos around the tables from various stages through the numerous myriad decades that my dad's life has spanned. So be sure to ask him about them. That would be a great conversation starter. And then also, what happened to the resolutions?
I have them.
Okay.
This is going to be where the birthday cake is.
Okay, the cake will be here. And where may they view the resolutions if they want to?
After birthday cake. They'll be right back here.
After birthday cake, we will relocate the resolutions to this table out front here. There might be some interesting things about my father in those resolutions. Also, we want to make sure that people reconvene here. So we have resolutions from the governor, from the city of Boston, as Mayor Walsh read to us, the Senate, the House, and the town of Framingham. So various resolutions and proclamations. And yes, let's acknowledge that. And we will reconvene here 5 minutes hence to sing my dad's favorite song of all time, Happy Birthday. So we'll see you here in a few.